All right, so today we're diving into the world of travel.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to figure out how to pick the perfect trip and then how to actually make it happen, you know?
Right.
So we've got the source. It's like a little travel guide.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's packed with good stuff. It even talks about those like once-in-a-lifetime trips and, just the freedom to explore however you want.
So it's like planning your own adventure, but for traveling.
Exactly. Like choose your own adventure travel style.
Yeah.
So first things first, we got to figure out how we're getting to all these amazing places. Let's talk flights.
All right.
Our source breaks down the two main types of flights. You've got scheduled flights and charter flights. Scheduled flights are like your everyday flights. They run on set routes all the time.
Gotcha. Those are the ones you see on the kayak and stuff.
Exactly. And then you've got charter flights. These are more for those like big group trips to specific destinations.
Like those all-inclusive resort packages? Yep.
Exactly. So scheduled flights give you a ton of flexibility, but charter flights can be way cheaper if you're going to a popular spot.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing with some airline tickets, especially the super cheap ones, they can have some tricky fine print.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You might end up locked into those exact travel dates. And if something comes up and you have to cancel,
oh no,
you can kiss your money goodbye. Those non-refundable tickets can be a real pain.
Oh, I learned that the hard way. Once I booked this non-refundable flight for a conference, thought I was getting a great deal, and then a family emergency popped up. It ended up costing me a fortune.
Oof, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder to think about travel insurance.
Definitely.
But hey, let's talk about something fun. Some tickets let you have a stopover.
What's that?
It's where you get to spend a night or two in a city along your route.
Oh, that's cool. Like a mini bonus trip.
Exactly. It's like a little extra adventure tucked into your main trip.
I like that.
So maybe flying isn't your thing. Maybe you're more of a seafaring type. What about a cruise?
Ooh, cruises are fun.
Right? Our source talks about all the different types of cabins you can book. You've got your basic berth in a shared cabin.
Okay.
Then you've got your single and double cabins. And if you're feeling fancy, you could even get a deluxe cabin with a balcony overlooking the ocean.
Yeah, that's the life.
Right. It's like escaping to those exotic islands, leaving all your worries behind on the shore.
Yeah, it's a whole different world out there on a cruise.
And for some people, a luxury cruise is like the ultimate dream vacation. That chance to really splurge and make some incredible memories. What do you think makes a cruise a luxury experience?
I think it's all about the details, impeccable service, amazing food, and those little touches that make you feel totally pampered. And of course, the destinations, waking up to a new breathtaking view every day without having to pack and unpack your bags.
That does sound pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe cruises aren't your thing. Maybe you prefer to stay on solid ground. How about a train trip?
I love train trips.
Me too. There's something so relaxing about watching the world go by outside your window.
Yeah, it's so peaceful.
Our source talks about that sense of relaxed travel and how you can just sit back and enjoy the scenery. Don't you think there's something romantic about train travel?
Oh, absolutely. It's a chance to slow down and savor the journey. Really appreciate the scenery. And speaking of scenery, here's a quick tip. Do some research beforehand and look for scenic train routes. There are some amazing websites and resources that map out these routes all over the world.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'll have to check that out. Okay, now, for all you independent travelers out there, let's talk about car hire. Renting a car.
Road trip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our source highlights that sense of freedom that you get when you rent a car. Being able to go wherever you want, whenever you want. It's perfect for those spontaneous road trips.
Yeah, and there are often deals for unlimited mileage, so you don't have to worry about racking up extra costs.
Exactly. But that freedom can come with some hidden costs.
Yeah.
Like insurance. Don't forget to factor in those extras. It's definitely better to be safe than sorry.
Agreed. All right, so we figured out how to get around, but where are we going to stay after a long day of exploring?
Good question. Our source lays out a bunch of options. Hotels, camping, even self-catering places like apartments and chalets. It's like you get to choose your level of comfort and convenience.
Yeah, you've got everything from roughing it in a tent to living it up in a luxury hotel suite.
And don't forget about those charming guest houses and inns.
Oh, those are great.
Often tucked away in historic buildings with a unique story to tell. They offer a cozy, intimate experience that you just don't get with bigger hotels. Have you ever stayed in a particularly memorable guest house or inn?
Oh, absolutely. I once stayed in this tiny little inn tucked away in the Scottish Highlands. It was hundreds of years old with stone walls and a crackling fireplace in the common room. The owner was this lovely woman who baked fresh bread every morning and told the most incredible stories about the history of the inn and the surrounding area. It was truly magical.
Wow, that sounds amazing. See, that's the kind of experience you just don't get from a big chain hotel. All right, last but not least, let's talk about meal plans. Our source mentions half board and full board.
Okay. I've always been a little confused about those.
Yeah, they can be a little tricky. So half board usually means breakfast, and one other meal are included, typically dinner. And full board means you've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner covered.
So full board is basically all inclusive for meals.
Exactly. It can be a really convenient option, especially if you're staying somewhere remote where there aren't many restaurants around.
That makes sense.
It takes all the stress out of meal planning.
For sure. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from flying to sailing, riding the rails, hitting the open road, and finding the perfect place to rest our heads. It's like we've mapped out a whole world of travel possibilities.
And what's so cool is how each choice, the way you travel, the place you stay, it all reflects your own travel style and personality. Are you someone who thrives on spontaneity, or do you prefer a well-structured itinerary? Do you want luxury, or are you all about budget-friendly experiences?
Those are good questions to ask yourself before you plan any trip.
Right. And that's the beauty of having all these options. It's like we're building our own personalized travel menu, choosing the dishes that best suit our tastes and preferences.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong answer. The perfect trip is the one that aligns with your vision of adventure and relaxation.
I love that. And sometimes that vision might even surprise you.
True. Sometimes the best trips are the ones you least expect.
So true. Speaking of surprises, I think it's time we shifted gears a bit. We've talked about the practicalities of travel, but what about the emotional side of it? What are you hoping to gain from your next adventure?
That's a good question. Are you looking for relaxation and escape? Do you want to immerse yourself in new cultures, challenge yourself physically, or maybe just reconnect with yourself and nature? Travel can be such a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation.
Absolutely. It's about so much more than just getting from point A to point B. It's about opening ourselves up to new experiences, new perspectives, and ultimately new possibilities within ourselves.
And sometimes the most unexpected detours lead to the most incredible discoveries.
You're telling me?
So be open to spontaneity, embrace the unknown, and allow yourself to be surprised by the journey.
That's such great advice. I'm already feeling inspired to dust off my passport and start brainstorming my next adventure. What about you? What's calling to you right now?
For me, it's that image of the Scottish Highlands you painted earlier, that cozy inn, those crackling fires, those stories whispered through the ages. There's a sense of history and mystery there that I find incredibly alluring.
I can totally see why. It sounds like the perfect setting for a truly immersive and unforgettable experience. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Creating those memories that will stay with us long after we've returned home.
Absolutely. Travel is an investment not just in ourselves, but in the stories we want to tell, the experiences we want to weave into the fabric of our lives.
Beautifully said. So as you're listening to this and those travel wheels are turning, I want you to hold on to that thought. Think about what kind of story you want to create, what kind of experience you want to have. Let that be your compass as you navigate the exciting world of travel possibilities.
And remember, even the longest journey begins with a single step. Sometimes all it takes is that first spark of inspiration to set the wheels in motion.
So true. Now, before we wrap up this incredible deep dive into the world of travel, I have one final thought-provoking question for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
We've talked about the different ways to travel, the places to stay, and even the emotional side of exploring. But here's the real question. Knowing all of this now, what kind of trip is calling to you?
What excites you? What kind of experience will leave you feeling refreshed, inspired, or maybe even transformed?
Exactly. It's about more than just checking destinations off a list. It's about finding that perfect match between your travel style and the experience you're seeking.
Are you picturing yourself on a luxurious cruise ship being pampered as you sail from one stunning island to the next? Or maybe you're drawn to the rugged beauty of a backpacking trek through a remote mountain range?
Or maybe it's something in between, a cozy train journey through the European countryside, perhaps? Or a road trip along a scenic coastal highway, stopping at charming seaside towns along the way.
And remember, it doesn't have to be an either-or situation. Maybe your dream trip is a combination of different styles. Start with what excites you most, and then see how you can weave in other elements to create a truly unique and fulfilling experience.
I love that. So as you're mulling over these possibilities and maybe even starting to sketch out some ideas, I want you to remember one crucial thing. Planning is part of the fun.
Don't get bogged down in the details or overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices. Embrace the process of researching destinations, comparing options, and piecing together the different elements of your trip.
It's like putting together a giant jigsaw puzzle, each piece representing a different aspect of your adventure. And as those pieces start to fit together, you start to see the bigger picture emerge.
And sometimes the most unexpected pieces turn out to be the ones that complete the picture in the most beautiful way. So stay open to new possibilities, be flexible with your plans, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh.
Well, folks, there you have it, our deep dive into the world of travel, from choosing the right kind of trip for you to actually making it happen.
Hopefully, we've given you some food for thought, some inspiration to fuel your wanderlust, and some practical tips to help you turn those travel dreams into reality.
Remember, the world is waiting to be explored. So pack your bags, grab your passport, and most importantly, pack your sense of adventure. Happy travels.
It was truly magical.
Wow, that sounds incredible. See, that's the kind of experience you just don't get from a big chain hotel.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, let's decode some of those meal plan terms. Our source talks about half board and full board. Do you want to break those down?
Sure. Half board usually means breakfast and one other meal is included, usually dinner. Full board means you're covered for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It can be a really convenient option, especially if you're staying somewhere more remote and there aren't a lot of dining options.
Right. It takes the guesswork out of meal planning. So we've covered a ton of ground here, from flying high in the sky to sailing across the seas, riding the rails, hitting the open road, and finding the perfect place to lay our heads. It's like we've mapped out a whole world of travel possibilities.
What's really fascinating is how each choice you make, the mode of transport, the type of accommodation, it all reflects your own personal travel style and personality. Are you the kind of person who thrives on spontaneity? Or do you prefer a well-structured itinerary? Do you crave luxury? Or are you more about budget-friendly experiences?
Those are some great questions to ask yourself before you plan your next trip.
Definitely.
And that's what's so great about having all these options. It's like we're creating our own personalized travel menu, choosing the dishes that best suit our tastes and preferences.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong answer. The perfect trip is the one that aligns with your own vision of adventure and relaxation. And sometimes that vision might even surprise you.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of surprises, I
What?
think it's time we shifted gears a little. We've talked about the practical side of travel, the logistics, but what about the emotional side of it? What are you hoping to get out of your next big adventure?
That's a really important question. Are you searching for relaxation and escape? Do you want to immerse yourself in different cultures, challenge yourself physically, or maybe just reconnect with yourself in nature? Travel can be such a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation.
Absolutely. It's so much more than just going from point A to point B. It's about opening ourselves up to new experiences, new perspectives, and ultimately new possibilities within ourselves.
And sometimes the most unexpected detours can lead to the most amazing discoveries.
Oh, for sure.
So be open to spontaneity, embrace the unknown, and allow yourself to be surprised by the journey.
Such good advice.
Well,
I'm already feeling inspired to dig out my passport and start brainstorming my next adventure. How about you? What's calling to you?
for me, it's that picture you painted earlier of the Scottish Highlands, that cozy inn with crackling fires and stories whispered through the ages. There's this sense of history and mystery there that I find really alluring.
I totally get it. It sounds like the perfect setting for a truly immersive and unforgettable experience. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Creating those memories that we'll carry with us long after we've come home.
Exactly. Travel is an investment, not just in ourselves, but in the stories we want to tell and the experiences we want to add to our lives.
Beautifully said. So as you're listening to this and thinking about all these possibilities, I want you to hold on to that thought. Think about what kind of story you want to create, what kind of experience you want to have. Let that guide you as you navigate the world of travel possibilities.
And remember, even the longest journey starts with a single step. Sometimes all you need is a little spark of inspiration to get things going.
So true. Now, before we wrap up this amazing deep dive into all things travel, I have one final thought-provoking question for you. Okay, so we've talked about all the different ways to travel, the places to stay, even the emotional side of exploring. But here's the big question. Knowing all this now, what kind of trip is calling to you?
Yeah, what really gets you excited? What kind of experience would leave you feeling refreshed and inspired, maybe even transformed?
Exactly. It's not just about checking places off a list. It's about finding that perfect match between how you like to travel and the experience you're looking for.
Right. Are you picturing yourself on a fancy cruise ship getting pampered as you sail from one amazing island to the next?
Or maybe you're more drawn to something adventurous, like backpacking through the mountains.
Yeah, or maybe it's something in between, like a cozy train ride through the European countryside.
Ooh. Or a road trip along the coast, stopping at all those charming little towns along the way.
And remember, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Maybe your dream trip is a mix of different styles.
Yeah, that's a great point. Start with what excites you most, and then see how you can blend in other elements to create something truly unique and fulfilling.
Exactly.
So as you're thinking about all these possibilities,
Yeah.
and maybe even starting to jot down some ideas, there's one thing I want you to remember. Planning your trip is part of the fun.
Oh, absolutely. Don't get bogged down in all the details or feel overwhelmed by all the choices. Just enjoy the process. Research destinations, compare options, piece together the different parts of your trip.
It's like putting together a giant puzzle. Each piece is a different part of your adventure. And as those pieces start to fit together, you start to see the bigger picture emerge.
And sometimes the most unexpected pieces end up being the ones that complete the picture in the most beautiful way.
So true.
So stay open to new possibilities. Be flexible with your plans, and most importantly, have fun with it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, there you have it. Our deep dive into the world of travel. From figuring out what kind of trip is right for you to actually making it all happen.
Hopefully we've given you some things to think about, some inspiration to fuel your wanderlust, and some practical tips to help you turn those travel dreams into a reality.
Remember, the world is out there waiting to be explored. So pack your bags, grab your passport, and most importantly, pack your sense of adventure. Happy travels.